Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome to the Art Cake Coach podcast. My name is Cristina Revalo. I'm a sugar paste modeling artist, a teacher, a coach for cake artists, Cake Friends Day creative community manager, award winning cake decorator, and representative of international cake competitions. I'm so happy to have you here. If you are a cake artist, a cake enthusiast, or a baker who is seeking some help, in anything related to your time management, social media management, setting your goals for yourself or your business, your mindset towards your business, or even a few hints of how to be part of the international cake community, cake collaboration, and cake competitions, you are in the right place. So, welcome to today's episode. Well, hello, my sweet friends. Welcome to another episode of the Art Cake Coach podcast. Christina here. I'm so happy to have you back. And we are still in our time management month. This month, all of my platforms, social media, caking, and coaching groups have been dedicated towards time management for cake artists. And we are going to be talking today a little bit about last week's class. That was the third class of the series of four classes. And of course, it had to do about time management. If remember that if you want to join our time management class, the group's still open. The classes are there to watch and rewatch again as many times as you would like. We have a lot of posts and a lot of comments in there that you can go and you can ask me things too. You can send me messages. We have a chat in there. And the great thing is that all of the people that are really committing to the class and are really coming into the class are start to seeing results. I had one of the members of the group, a friend, now I can call her a friend, of the members of the group, that she was saying to me last weekend that she had time. I think I mentioned it in the last episode, that she had time and that her kid was happy because she was more relaxed. I had a beautiful feedback again from my sweet Emin. Emin, your feedback really touched my heart. It's a long feedback, and I want to dedicate the special place that it deserves. So I'm just going to give you a shout out today for your beautiful, heartfelt, it coming from your soul comment. And I will leave that in suspense because I want to dedicate a whole episode about that, even if it's a short one. But I would love to dedicate an episode to the people that this class and these coaching groups are touching their lives. Because today I started on my social media, on my new um, Instagram account, the RK Coach. If anyone wants to join, I just started a thank you week. I don't know how many time it would last, but it's I started with today posting about people that I thank them for being who they are, just for being who you are, just for doing what you do. And the idea is that the thank you chain keeps going and keeps rolling until we have a lot of people there in that list, and we can thank all the beautiful souls that are out there doing the quiet work, and just being there for the not only the K community, for their communities, for anyone. So that's why I want to dedicate a very special thank you episode for your comment. But I wanted to leave you a shout out today as well, to you and my dear Clara. And of course, again, I want to invite you to join the live class. This week is the fourth class. This is the last week of the month, so it's the last week, is the last class of the series of time management, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing some giveaway in that class, and I will be sharing with you my planner, the one that I use to plan, and how I organize my agenda. I will show you everything. I will show you my agenda, my planners, my notebooks, and I will show you also the um, the one that I use digitally, so you have an idea of what I do, and you can do it as well. So this is what today's episode is going to be about. Of course, is we're going to keep talking about time management, but we're going to talk about little things that we need to remove from our life in order to have enough space to create the habit of time management. So stick around and listen to today's episode. Well, yes, my sweet friends, today we are going to keep talking about time management. But as I said in the intro before, we cannot have or create the space for a new habit. And time management should be a habit. Like for me, I think that's what I believe. It should be a habit as any other habits that we have in our life. And we cannot create more habits in our life without removing some old habits that are now so productive for our life. So this I started last class, or deciding to do this, deciding to go and really create a space for managing your time. It's a brave thing because you have to face a lot of demons before getting into there. You have to face your flaws, you have to face who you are, where you're standing, and just be very very honest, as well as in the goal setting. But the goal setting is more like a, daydreaming. In this case, we're doing the hard work. We're really, like I said, we're facing a few demons in there, and sometimes it's easy not to see those demons. Sometimes it's easier just to, I don't know, hide yourself behind the fact that, oh, I'm a procrastinator, or oh, I don't work well during the day, so I work late at night, or I don't have time, which is the biggest one, and the one that we're trying to tackle in this series. So I started last class. Of course, this episode is about last week's class in the time management groups. I have two, one in Spanish, one in English. And in both the classes, I started with a quote that I found very interesting. And the quote says, deciding to be productive is the result of a commitment to the distinctive effort. That's it. It is to decide it to be, I mean, sorry, the decision to be productive is the result of the commitment to the effort. Yes, because you're not always going to be motivated. We're going to talk about that. You're not always going to feel productive, but you are just going to keep doing the effort. So let me just rephrase it again because I got a little mixed up in the last reading. Deciding to be productive is the result of a commitment to the distinctive effort. It's just making an effort, guys. At the beginning, it's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's not, like any habit that we try to create. At the beginning it's difficult, or everything in ourselves just goes against it. But once it sticks and once it's part of us, it's just so easy, and your life gets way less complicated. So it's all about to making the effort, and it's all about to keep going. But of course, in order to keep going and to have room to create that habit, you need to organize your life and introduce new habits. And introducing new habits for your time management is no different. So let's talk about habits. Sorry, when we talk about habits, we think of brushing our teeth, or I don't know, washing our faces, taking a shower, eating breakfast, or I don't know what other habits, or go for a run, or go for a walk, exercise. Um, Calling my family members. Those could be habits because we don't think about them. We just do it, right? Oh, every time I go to bed, I brush my teeth, wash my face, put cream on my hands, put cream on my feet, and jump into the bed and just cover myself with my blanket. Do I think about that? No, it's automatically. I can do that while I'm talking to my husband, like talking about the day or what we're gonna do tomorrow. I just keep doing it. I don't think about it. I just do it. So that's a habit. And when we try to achieve something, the best way to make it constant, to have consistency, is to create it or to make it a habit in ourselves. It's like exercising. At the beginning, it's like, oh, I don't want to exercise. Why did I get to the gym? Why did I enroll in the gym? Why did I go to this class? Why did for me, it was with spinning classes with the bicycle. Like every time the class was like 5 minutes uh long, and I was like, why did I got into this bike? Because then you cannot get out. You can just walk away. You just have to wait to do the class and stay there. And I was like, no, why did I do it? But then I just kept doing it and just did it eventually. And it started to become fun at the end. And it started to become like, oh, okay, I can do it. I don't do that class anymore for other issues and back issues that I have, but I do other exercise. I walk every day in the morning. I like to go for a walk, and for me, it's a habit. It's like my body asks me for it. So, time management, that's another habit for me. I didn't even think about it. I know that is something that I wake up after my morning routine. I sit down, I check my agenda, I do everything, and at the end of the month, I organize my month. That's what I do. I just don't think about it. It's something that comes natural. The thing about creating habits is nothing is going to stick in your mind and inside of you, in your body as a habit if you don't do it constantly during a certain period of time. And if you have another habit that is not so good, the best way to replace it is every time you have the urge to do that habit or to that is not that productive for you, you replace it with a new positive one. And you have to do that for at least, let's say, between 21 to 30 days. I'm not saying this because I didn't make this up. I read it, I studied about that, I read it from other coach, I read it from books. In order to create a habit, you need to stick to a certain behavior for at least 21 to 30 days. That's why, some people, when they talk about challenges or diets or things that you want to implement in your life, read one book or read, I don't know, uh, during 30 days. So you will create the habit of reading or you create the habit of exercising. So, in order to do that, we need to first figure out which ones are the habits that are not so productive for me and that I don't necessarily need them in my life anymore. And every time we think about making those habits, let's say, procrastinating can be a habit and it's a very good excuse not to do something. Instead of procrastinate, well, I'm going to plan my week. That's what I'm going to do. Just keep doing it until it becomes another habit. Of course, in order to create that space for that habit, we need to clean things in our life. And I'm not just saying about switching habits, I'm talking about really cleaning behaviors and situations that are taking away our time and uh, they're not necessary for us. They're not necessarily important in our lives. So, some tips on how to declutter your life before the new habit is introduced are the ones that we're going to be talking about today in this episode. So, stay around and we will start talking about that in just a second. And before we start this episode, I want to invite you to join our time management free class. It's available for you on a private Facebook group. We have two groups, one in English and one in Spanish, with tips and tricks. It's 4 weeks, one class a week of time management. The previous two lessons are already recorded, but you can join the group and watch again the replays as many times as you like, as long as you're part of the group. I will be leaving the links in this episode on how to join the time management free course for the whole month of February. So I really hope to see you there. Learn to say no. That was actually the theme of one of the episodes of the RK Coach podcast. That was I think it was a short episode 13, um, where I gave you a few tips on how to say no. But when we talk about it in the class, it was the feedback I had from the students was amazing, because it is something that is we are not allowing ourselves to say no. We feel that we are not good enough when we say no. We feel that people won't love us because we say no. We feel that people will judge us because we say no. And it's absolutely ridiculous. The thing about saying no is to give you full control or of where do you place your energies and where do you place um your work and what do you decide to do. And of course, if you've been working with me since the beginning of January, where we've been talking about goals and we've been talking about time management, when you have your goals quite set, when you have your why already figured out, you have an alignment of things. You have an idea of what works and what doesn't work for you. And it's very important to learn to say no to things, situations, even people who are not aligned with our final goal, who are not aligned to who we really are. And to gain back that control and don't feel bad about it. We come from especially I always said this, and I said it on the group in Spanish, being Latin Americans, we have this idea of sacrifice that we need to sacrifice for everyone. One thing is to serve. I'm 100% in favor of helping and serving. Another thing is to sacrifice beyond yourself. That's very deep inside the personality of a lot of Latin American people because it's the way we were brought up. Our parents sacrificed for us. Their parents sacrificed from for them. We need to sacrifice for our children and probably for our parents in the future. And we're not allowed to say no because you're seen as a bad person. I'm talking about my culture because it's the one that I know. I don't know if this is happening in other cultures as well or in other situations, but this is a true for me, for the way I was brought up. And it's funny because when you really start to realize that, what is the worst thing that can happen if you say no to somebody? Nothing. If they get mad at you, I mean, it will pass. You can say no in a very polite and educated way. It's not just, you're not, I'm not asking you to be mean to everyone. Just say it in a very nice way. Go listen to episode 13 because I give you some tips about that and how to be polite saying no and not to give too much explanation about it. But once you start doing it, and you feel the control again, like, okay, yeah, I can say no, I'm allowed to do it, and I'm not getting myself into situations, into activities, or maybe giving my attention to people who's just draining my energy, and I'm not going anywhere with this. So learn to say no was one of the tips that I gave you in or that I gave the students in the time management class on how to declutter and clean your life. Another one was multitasking. We have this idea also that when we multitask, we do a lot of things and we're very productive, which is absolutely the opposite. When we multitask, we're just dividing our energy in many things at the same time, probably not getting anything done, or if we're getting it done, it's not 100%. For me, I rather focus on one thing at a time, give it my 100%, and then do another thing. And it's funny because I know that it works. I teach this and I find myself multitasking many times. And the thing is that now I kind of notice when I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, Christina, just stop because something is going to burn. I always say, I give the example to multitask. We're bakers and we all have done either Swiss meringue buttercream or Italian meringue buttercream or even caramel, where you have, if you work with isomalt, you know that the sugar has to reach a certain temperature, and depending on the temperature of the sugar, you will have different results. That happens with the gelatin too. I am a gelatin artist, and I was a teacher of gelatin art for quite a while. And with the gelatin, it's the same. If you let it boil, it will take a different consistency than if you just heat it. So I mean, temperature is key with sugar or gelatin in this case. So what happens? Tell me if this has happened to you. You're in the kitchen, you're paying attention to the Italian meringue buttercream you're doing. You're, you know, getting your sugar ready to the point and with your thermometer, everything you need. And then you turn around just to check on the eggs. And when you turn it around again, the sugar is burned. It has happened to me so many times. It's like, oh, or it just passed the temperature that I wanted to. It's like, oh, come on. Why? Because I was paying attention to something else instead of the sugar. There's a saying though that when you when you look at the water, it won't boil, or when you look at the sugar, it won't get to the temperature. Yes, but pay attention. For me, paying attention to what I'm doing will save me the trouble to have to do it again. So I always give the example of the sugar. So multitasking, something is going to burn, or you're not going to give your 100% in each one of the activities that you're doing. I prefer the Pomodoro technique that I shared with you in previous episode, just giving my full attention for a certain amount of time to a specific activity. So I don't have to redo it, or the result is actually the result that I want. Another thing that we talk about in this week's class was about procrastination. Again, there is an episode here in the podcast, episode 12. You can go and listen to that about procrastination. I give you a few tips on how not to procrastinate. But the thing is, in this week's class, we got into the why do we procrastinate, and it was for me it was eye opening when I found the information, and when I pass it around, it was eye opening for my students and for all of us to really determine why do we procrastinate. So here are a few tips or a few questions I want to ask you about procrastination. Why do we procrastinate? And I have procrastinators at home, so I know what I'm talking about. It's not me, by the way, but I do have them. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. Why do we procrastinate? Is it because we are afraid of failing? It's more comfortable to not to do something when we are afraid of failing, and probably because you are a high achiever, probably because you really place high standards for yourself, and you just fear that that activity, that task, that whatever it is that you have to do won't measure up to your standards. So you're so afraid to fail that you decide not to start. That could be one. Is it fear to be judged by the results of your work? Many times, especially in our work, field of work, we are creative people. We work with creativity, and of course, our work is judged by the client, by our peers, especially by our peers, that place us in different standards according to our work, by the K community. If you're entering a competition, of course, it's going to be judged. If you enter a K collaboration, I'm not going to say it's going to be judged, but of course, um, there is always the the placement of your work amongst the best or the the not so good ones. So even though we don't talk about that, it's there, and we know it's there. So do you feel to be judged by your results? Is it because you feel that the result of your work speaks of you and not of your work? We again, I said, we work with creativity, and when creative people work, it's like part of us is in whatever we do. Any field of creative work, I guess, is the same. If you're a writer, if you're a painter, if you're a photographer, if you're a dancer, if you're a cake artist, I mean, anything that has to do with creativity, we feel that at work um, has part of ourselves. And I truly believe that. I believe that every time I finish one of my sugar dolls, I have a connection with them. I keep them here in my desk. And I mean, if you go into my social media, if you have seen me live, you know that I have all my work here with me. I have a special love for some specific pieces, and I'm going to be honest, I even talk to them once in a while. I call them my babies. So yes, it's my work is part of me, but it's not me. So when people is judging or making a judgment on whatever it is that I do, I don't take it personally. I don't take it as a judgment on myself. It's a judgment on something that I produce. It is produced with love, yes. It has part of my soul, yes, but it's not me. So if somebody says, "Oh well, I think this sugar doll doesn't look proportionate enough," am I not being proportionate enough? Am I failing as a person, and am I failing as a cake artist? No, it's just next time I have to check on the proportions. That's it. So sometimes we feel so afraid of being judged by the results because we actually believe that those results are going to speak about us, that we don't do it. We just don't take the chance. And that happens a lot, especially with people who are just starting in the business, who are just starting in a K collaboration, first time in K competitions. Don't compare yourself. I think we mentioned this in another episode. Do not compare yourself to your peers because everyone has a different story. Everyone has started at a different space and place and time. I cannot compare myself to somebody who's already halfway there because I'm just starting. It's ridiculous. So don't judge yourself also accordingly to whatever everybody else is doing. Just work hard, take positive critiques, and keep growing. But don't be afraid of be judged by your results. That could be another reason why you procrastinate. And finally, there's another one. Is it because of you're afraid of the feelings that this project would bring? Let me change this. Let me explain this. Every time we face a new project, every time we face a new thing to do, especially if it's new or not. Maybe we have done it before and we know what's coming. So, but every time we face a new task in front of us, we know that stress, there might be sleepless nights, there might be, um, I don't know, fear, doubt, judgment. All of those feelings are involved with a new task. Yes, it's true. But there's also other feelings involved when you finish them: accomplishments, success, learn, um, getting out of your comfort zone. All of those feelings are also involved. But we're so focused on the negative feelings that a new project might bring. Like I was saying, like the stress, the sleepless nights, the not knowing what to do, the feeling of being judged, that we just, I'll take care of that later. I'll do that later. So we procrastinate not to face the feelings. It's actually not to face the project, but not to face the feelings that that project will bring. Because no, I'll deal with that in another time. And we end up not doing it. So that could be another way of procrastinating. So if any of this resonate with you and any of these reasons, have you ever asked yourself, if you're a procrastinator, why do you do it? When you understand your why, when you understand if it's any of those reasons that I just gave you, or maybe another one, you realize that this is ridiculous. I can just do it. I don't have to feel judged. I don't have to fear failure. And I mean, yeah, there are negative feelings involved, but there are also very positive feelings involved when I finish the project. So ask yourself, why do you procrastinate? And of course, we talk about a few ways of not procrastinating, like planning, like having a very strong why, like learning from failure, seeing failure as a way to learn. We also talk about just starting, just start. Don't think about it, just start and get out of your comfort zone. Don't protect yourself by not risking. Just see what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So don't focus on the stress and the boring and the anxiety and uh, and the uncertainty of a new project. Focus on what's at the end of it: success and accomplishment. Don't do things that are not necessary in order to avoid the thing that you have to do. There's another way of procrastinating. Like, for example, when you have to finish a project and you start cleaning your desk. Is it necessary to clean my desk right now? Maybe not. Maybe you're just trying to make yourself busy, not to think about the other things that you have to do. And finally, please repeat this to yourself: I am not lazy. Say it with me: I am not lazy. We used to think before, I think I mentioned this in other episodes as well, that I say, oh, when I was little, people did not procrastinate. We just called them lazy. But the funny thing is, when you think about that, when you say, I am lazy, you are defining yourself as this kind of person. I procrastinate. I am lazy. That means I am like this, and this is the way I'm built, so I'm not going to change it. When you remove that from the equation, I am not lazy. I just have a reason why I haven't started this. And I need to find that reason and just change it. And you will stop procrastinating. Okay? Very good, guys. So let's keep talking about how to declutter your life to introduce new time management skills into it. And today's episode is brought to you by Saracino and Saracino Free Monthly Magazine. We love pastry with incredible tutorials, easy to follow and unique, created by the very talented artists from around the globe, interesting interviews and blogs. You can, of course, download this for free in the link that I will be leaving in this episode. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Saracino pasta model. Is my go-to material to work with either my competition pieces, my collaboration pieces, and of course to model beautiful cake toppers for all my clients. So Saracino, thank you so much for sponsoring today's episode. Hello, my sweet friends. Let's just keep talking about the things that we need to tackle and in order to make room and declutter our lives to create new habits for time management. We also talk about motivation, and we mentioned this in previous episodes as well. I know I've been repeating myself, but it's just a way to keep us on track on what we have to do. Motivation or the lack of motivation. And as we mentioned before, we're not going to be motivated all the time. That idea that we wake up, singing like in a musical, and everything is beautiful and flowers just I don't know, falling from the sky and you're just happy and motivated all day. That's not true. We know it's not true. But we can cope and we can live with the idea of not being motivated all the time by tricking our mind into do it. And one of the things that we can do is to reward ourselves every time we achieve something. That way, when we are not motivated, we know that we will have a reward after and we just keep in track by planning, by having an important reason, everything that I mentioned before, even with the procrastination. We're going to have like a roadmap to just keep going when we don't feel motivated. Okay. Movement is an important part of the motivation. Just keep going, just keep moving, and you will see that when you end up in a place, if we stay still, if we don't move, if we don't start a project, if we don't at least start planning and start looking for the materials of the project, uh, sugar paste peas or cake or whatever it is that we're doing, if we're not starting somewhere, we're just staying still and nothing is going to happen and we're just going to keep feel unmotivated. But when we start doing things, even if we don't feel like it's like, well, okay, let me just start by making the list of the things that I need to buy. Then after you make the list, well, I might go this afternoon to buy them. Okay. Let me just sit down and check on the inspiration so I can, start designing the project. You're moving. And even if you don't feel motivated, there is a next step to follow all the time. So you will keep going. Because yes, you're not going to be motivated all the time, but just having a plan, sticking to it, it will help you. And of course, rewarding yourself when you achieve something, when you finally do that thing. It's like, yeah, I did it. So let me just reward myself with something. You can go out with your friends. You can have that, I don't know, piece of chocolate that you wanted. You can buy yourself a pair of shoes, whatever it is that you feel like it. It's going to help you keep motivated. Distractions. We also talk about distractions because that's another thing that we need to remove from our lives in order to open space for creating new habits for time management. The funny thing, just like motivation, is like as we really understand that we are not motivated all the time, we also have to understand that distractions are going to be there 24/7. We're not going to be able to remove everything unless you go and live on a cave, and probably you're going to be distracted by the bugs. I mean, we're always going to be distracted by something. So, what we actually have to do is to develop a good relationship with distractions. How? First of all, acknowledging the distractions. I know they're there. I know I'm going to get distracted. So, what am I going to do about it? Again, it's all about control. Who has the control? The distractions or me? There are things that you can do in order to practice that good relationship with distractions. So, what is one of our first um, reasons for distraction? Our phones, right? Social media, right? So, turn off social media notifications. Turn off the sound of your phone and put your phone away during the time that you're working. If you're working on the Pomodoro technique, using the Pomodoro technique that we talk about, you know that on those 25, 30 minutes, you're just going to be focused on one thing. So just, turn off notifications, turn off the sound of your phone, and put the phone away during those 25 minutes, and you won't have that distraction. One thing that I usually do is I wear headphones. Not listening, not as sometimes I listen to music, depends. I'm going to tell you what I do. If I'm, for example, if I'm doing a project that has to do with Lord of the Rings, I would listen to the soundtrack of Lord of the Rings just to get me in the in the mood. If I'm doing a Harry Potter project, I'm listening to Harry Potter theme song, the soundtrack of the movies. If I'm doing, I don't know, a mermaid project, I will be listening to the Little Mermaid soundtracks or ocean sounds because it gets me in the mood of what I'm doing. But I don't do it all the time because I kind of get distracted with it. So what I do is I put on headphones. Could be those big ones like DJ headphones, or my iPods have the feature of blocking the sound from outside. So it just keep me where I am. It's just keep me focused of where I am, and I don't get distracted by noise. Another thing that I do is I declutter my workspace. I clean my workspace. I have to, when I start working, I want to have my space as clean as possible so I don't get distracted by little things like there's another project in there and I'm looking at it and I'm getting distracted because I know I have to finish that one. Or there is, I don't know, the notes of what to do in the rest of the day, or my agenda that I can go and check it out and see what else is doing, or a lot of little things that I know I have to put away. So I try to clean my space as much as I can when I start working to not get distracted with it. Another thing that I do, because for me, very, very bad distraction is, on your phone, when you have the notifications, you have a little ball with a number on top of the app that tells you how many messages you have. If I see that little ball with a number and the number keeps going up, I just no. I can't. I can't focus. So what I do is I clean my email inbox. I usually check on my email inbox in the morning when I first start working. So I try to clean it as much as possible and just remove that number from the app because I don't want to see it. And I do the same with the apps on my phone that you can turn that off actually, so you don't have to see it. Have a daily to-do list. That's also another thing that I do. I have a daily to-do list that is not too big. There is a reel on my Instagram account, the RK Coach, where I give you a few tips on how to have a short to-do list, or how to have a functional to-do list. So the to-do list has to be small. It has to be I mean, the amount of things that are there are the amount of things that I know I can finish, and maybe one or two that I can move for the next day if necessary. So I don't feel overwhelmed by the list. If I have big to-do list, I feel very overwhelmed. And every time I do something as small as it is, I cross it and I feel like, okay, the task is done. I achieved something today. So I do that. I clean every time I finish any project. So the next day, everything is going to be neat and clean for me to start working. I create a ritual around my day. Like I said, when I wake up, I have in the morning my time for I wake up, have shower, have my breakfast, take the dog out to go for a walk, just to get my mind in the right mindset. Then I start working. I usually have um, like a ritual, like a path of how I work. Like I first start with my emails, then I usually leave social media for later, not at the beginning because then I get distracted. But creating that ritual gives me a sense of what's next. And that helps me not to get distracted. And take advantage of your productive time. We mentioned this also in another episode. If you're a morning person, take advantage of that and work. Have the heavier tasks to do in the morning, or the ones that demands more attention. If you're more an afternoon person, do it in the afternoon. If you're more a night person, do it in the night. But always take advantage of your productive time for those tasks that are going to be more demanding for you. Okay, my friends. So to finish this episode, and this is our no, it's not our last episode about time management. We still have one more next week. But to finish this episode and to wrap up the cleaning of our life in order to create new habits, I'm going to tell you why it is important for us as cake artists to do this. Because, of course, you will say, Christina, we are cake artists, and you keep talking about time management, about goal setting. And what am I going to do with that? I need to do cakes. Yes, it's true. But our cake life is a business, and for a business you want to thrive, and you want to be as productive as productive as you can be. So all of these things that I'm talking about are to increase your productivity, to take it seriously, not only by others but by yourself. Take your job seriously. It is a job, it is a business, and it has to be productive. It is not done when I have time left. Don't think about that. In everything in your life, it's like, well, when I have time, I'll do this. If I have time, I'll get into the collaboration. If I have time, I will do this. No, you make the time. You decide what to do with it. Remember, it is you who is in control. It's going to be less stressful and more creative, and that's everyone's dream, especially if you're a creative person. And at the end of the day, you're going to have better cakes and better results and great clients. They're going to love you, and they're not going to let you go. So that's why all of this is important. And with this, my sweet friends, I leave you as I always leave you. First, hoping that this episode, first, that you like it, and second, that it is of importance to you, and that you have and you can get something away from this episode today. And of course, as I always say, stay safe and stay creative, my friends. See you next time. My sweet, sweet friend, if you liked this episode, if you love this podcast, I will kindly ask you to leave me a started review, whatever you're listening to this episode. That is available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and I think a couple of other ones. But in any of those, just leave me a review. Leave me a couple of stars, or 5 stars if you like it. So people will find this episode, the algorithm would put it out there, and more of our K community will benefit from it. Share it with your friends. Download the episode and share them. Share them on your social media and tag me, because I will answer you back. Of course I will. And send me comments, send me your review, send me your feedback. Even if you don't agree with anything that I say, I would love to hear your opinion. You can find me in any of my social media accounts. I will be leaving the links here on this episode description. I'm on Facebook as The Art Cake Experience. I am on Instagram at Christina_The Art Cake Experience. Or you can even find me on YouTube, my YouTube channel, The Art Cake Experience channel. So thank you so much for listening. And please leave me your review and leave me your comments and your feedback. I would love to hear what you have to say about any of this episode.